Welcome to the Dazed and Confused podcast with your host, Diana Cano, where we normalize being dazed and confused at any stage in life. To be curious and to seek constant improvement, everyone is welcome here. Hello, and welcome back to the Dazed and Confused podcast with Diana. It is I, your host, me. That was a little bit weird, but okay, we'll send it. So the story of this podcast has me both excited and scared. And part of it is because I always think what if someone listens to these that they know me and I don't know, they think about me differently. But we'll send it. I will not I cannot control everyone liking me. And if somebody doesn't like me because of my life experiences, then fuck them, right? Because it's this is me and this is what happened to me. Why not tell my story the way that it is and the way that it happened? Just because I'm scared of somebody judging me. So, I have to really listen to my own advice and find the power in my own story and show up to it and share it so that you be empowered to tell your own story the way that it happened. So don't worry, this episode is not gonna be long. I'm just gonna tell it as it is, like I'm telling a friend, because you're a friend. Okay, so let's go back in time to the year 2018. That is when I think I had a year left to finish my studies, if I remember correctly, and I was already in this mindset of I was dribbling into what was manifestation and little things about spirituality, setting intentions. I was already visualizing. I have my vision board. I was affirming a lot, and I was dribbling into this thing, and I had set my goals, and I wanted to graduate it by 2019, which it was a big deal to me since I had lost a year. Well, what it looked for me a year when I moved from Mexico to the U.S. and I didn't meet the high school requirements to graduate, because obviously we didn't have Texas history and all those all those classes, courses, points, whatever, that didn't transfer right when I moved here, and I had to repeat my junior year. So I felt like I was behind compared to my friends from Mexico, and I was really setting to finishing my studies at the same time that they were doing it, right? And I was really in this extreme deadline. I was really in extremely how do you say urgency. I really had an urgency to graduate and get out of the valley. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wanted to get out of the valley. So 2018, I was working two jobs, one that paid cash, so it was under the water, and I didn't have to report anything. And the other one, I feel the less people that know that little detail, the better. But at the same time, I gotta be honest, okay, baby, you just gotta get that bread sometimes. I mean, I was working an internship in HR, and it was paying me $3 the hour. That is the life of an international student, baby. I was getting paid $3 an hour. You tell me if that's fair or not. Anyways, so I was working two jobs. I was going full time to college. I was in this urgency to graduate early. And I just wanted to get out of the valley. By that time, I think it was 2016 or 2017. I don't remember exactly what year, but there was one of those years that I have a trip to San Jose, California. So I had already been in California, and to San Jose specifically. And it was very business-like, very setting. There's a lot of accounting opportunities. So I had already high intentions of moving to California, to San Jose specifically. And I just wanted to, I didn't have anything grounded here in California, but I just wanted to, get the fuck out of the valley. That was my full mission in life. Get the fuck out of the valley, and I wanted to come to California, to San Jose, and, get a job in a corporate office, that was my dream. At that time, let me just clarify that. So, you already know where I am right now, so it's you already know, things didn't turn out the way that I expected. But hey, let me not get ahead of myself, okay? But yeah, keep that in mind. So that was the goal all 2018 up until December 2018, when I met this guy that I don't know, it's like it was a Tinder match, and it was supposed to be a one time only. That was the mindset that I was back then. And I kid you not, um, like after like the second or third day that we were talking or getting to know each other, um, his father died, and he sent me a message, and I was like, I thought he was kidding, so I went to his place, and I was there to like pick up the pieces of his broken heart. And he was going to be in town just for a week. He wasn't like, he was from the same town that I was, but he was just supposed to be in time for that week that we were supposed to, because you guessed it, he was in the military. And and obviously he couldn't go to Mexico at that point to like visit like the whole family and be there for the funeral and stuff. So I was keeping him company, and because I was such a good stranger with such a fucking kind heart, he ended up asking me to be his girlfriend after that 1 week of knowing each other. And I was too um honestly, like it wasn't in the cards for me at that time. Like I wasn't planning it, like a relationship. It took me out of nowhere, so like I just say yes. I couldn't say no. It's like, I don't know, I have a kind heart. And I was like, we were still getting to know each other and stuff like that. He ended up being like a really good person. Not exactly what I thought he was. Like I really had this very big prejudice about military boys. And that's how we spent Christmas, and that's how we started the year. I had a boyfriend. We were in a long-term relationship, and he got moved from Chicago to, guess where? San Diego, California. So things started to good look for the both of us. And I told him about this plan. I told him that I wanted to go to San Jose. He told me to start looking things in San Diego just for the sake of it. And then at that point, with graduation coming close, he asked me to marry him. So we got married after 3 months of dating. And yes, everything happened so fast. So we got married, and then that summer I went to China, and I was there for 2 months, and then I came back and I finished my last semester of college, which, by the way, I pulled miracles out of my asses, just like, passing one of the classes. And I told my teacher, like, I already have an interview. Like, if I repeat this course, like, I feel like she passed me out of, like, the kindness of her heart, because she didn't like me through the whole semester. I didn't like her through the whole semester. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I know that I didn't perform well. I told her, like, if I need to repeat the class, I will. But just know that I need to repeat it online, because this is pre-pandemic, right? So, like, it was not, like, completing the course online just for you was not an option, and I had to be in the class. So I told her, like, I have already plans. I'm moving out. I have the plane ticket. Like, I'm moving out this December 2019, and I'm going to San Diego. I already have an interview prepared for the New Year's. And she was like, oh, okay, like, she didn't know this because I didn't tell her, through the semester, because I didn't like her and she didn't like me. And she ended up, giving me that passing grade. And I know that I did not deserve that. But, at the end of the day, I was like, I know that, like, I didn't went there to her office to beg her for her to pass me when I didn't deserve it. I went there, like, with the tail between my legs to tell her that I needed to repeat the course and I would do it, but I needed her cooperation because I was moving out of, the state. And she ended up, doing that for me, and honestly, it's a miracle. I call it a miracle. I pull it out of my ass, and I graduated December 2019 as I planned. And for me, it's like some of the things, that's a manifestation in its own. I graduated a full semester or a year, I don't remember, ahead of my class, and my class that I was in Mexico. And I know that some of my classmates that were, in that I graduated high school from here in the U.S. as well. I mean, that is an achievement to me, because I'm telling you, I was in this urgency, and I was like, it's just college. But I know that some people really take it seriously, and they graduate with summa cum laude, whatever, And it's like, for me, it's like I'm not in a pedigree school. This is just some like whatever college, and then I'm not having like any like master plans yet. Like I know that eventually I will have to seek for the masters for my CPA, but that could be an achievement whether I'm in my 20s or my 40s. At the end of the day, it comes from the experience and the competence that you have as an accountant and tax preparer. And I know that I've always had that sort of mindset, so I've always been working on like experience and like learning, as opposed to just like qualifications and certifications that will amount to nothing if I don't have that experience and expertise. So anyways, um am I going too fast? I feel like that coffee just kicked in, and like I'm really hope I'm not butchering my words and you're able to understand me, because sometimes I get super excited and I know that I start to butcher some words, and it's like, okay, let me calm down. I'm really excited. I'm telling you, I was really equal parts of excited and scared for this podcast, so not lying there. So obviously, after getting married and after finishing college, my change of status from an F1 visa to my residency was really smooth. It was a really like obviously nerve-wracking situation or processing or paperwork. I don't know. So by December 19, 2029, or December 16, I think. No, I graduated December 16, so I was moving out that week in December 19. Yeah, I took a plane with my money that I had saved up from my internship and some of my job. So all the money that I had saved up from that year, which was like a measly $1,000 and something, was obviously spent on my transportation out of the valley, which is it's in McAllen, Texas, all the way to San Diego, California, and so yeah, I was almost like broke. But I have a cushion here in San Diego, right? When I arrived, and like I told you, I already had an interview planned with the UCSD. I had that interview. It was great. I was gonna enter into a pool where they have people like in standby, and then if a position opens, they pick you from that pool and like they put you in the position. The only reason why I couldn't start right away is because I had to wait for my residency to arrive. So I wasn't allowed to work legally yet. So I needed to do something while waiting for it, and I signed up for the BIDA program. Well, it's not BIDA, but yeah, I mean it is BIDA, but it was with what's it called, the IRC. So BIDA is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistant program that you help low income families prepare their tax returns for free. And I had my plan ready, and you know what happened March 2020. I don't need to explain the pandemic, but um, so all things have to stop. And with that, my tax season concluded, and I was still waiting for my what's it called, residency. So I still couldn't legally work, and I didn't know anybody like in the valley where I could work, for a cash, in a cash basis. So I didn't know anyone here in San Diego, so I couldn't do that either. So I'm gonna stop my whole life just right there, because I feel like that time frame is really great for the lessons that I learned, and that those are the ones that I want to talk about in this podcast. Obviously, I'm gonna start with the whole manifestation. This was a really dream for me. I manifested it, and I really proved to myself that I was capable of, accomplishing what I thought. And I really proved Napoleon's Hill theory that that which the mind can see, it can conceive. I don't know if I'm translating wrong that quote, or if it's like that, because obviously I read the book in Spanish, but lo que la mente puede percibir y creer, lo puede conseguir. So it is really, really a really big deal for me, and it's really, really a big win, because I know that I had this dream, and I'm telling you, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and even if it was like I just talking about it, I ended up doing exactly what I say that I was gonna do, exactly the time frame that I say that I was gonna do it. So it's like it blows my mind, and it really created this faith in me and my spirituality. Like, oh, I can really, like, if I put myself in the front wheel, like in as if I'm driving, and like, so if I make it non-negotiable, it's like I really can do or accomplish everything that I set my mind to. And it was a really big realization till this day. Every time that I manifest something the way that I want to, it's like it's a really big it's like a really big realization. It really builds some trust in myself and some confidence that I feel like I lacked back then. And there was a lot of commitment to myself, and obviously there was a lot of, not only positive emotions but also negative, because like I didn't ended up, getting the job that I wanted because of the pandemic, and like my immigration process like took even longer because of the pandemic, and I stopped, like I didn't have anything to do because of the pandemic, and like my volunteer program ended. So there was a lot of, I was really in denial, and 2020 was a really dark year for me, but not only because of that, but for other reasons as well. In February 2020, I found out that I was pregnant and I was having an abortion right away. And then March, the beginning of March, Alexis went into deployment. It was going to be a long time deployment. And obviously, when the pandemic happened, I was alone here in San Diego. I had no friends, no family, no work to dive myself into, and also no confidence for me to, get this idea of like, had this idea of the podcast born sooner, but it just wasn't the time. So I was really, really lost, and really, really in a dark space, like depressed, a lot of things that I was in denial of, and a lot of things that were outside of my control. So I feel like I also learned a lot of good things from that as well. I had to learn to adapt, and then I had to learn to accept, because things were going for me for a really while, to have like a full year of like accomplishing everything that you want exactly how you want it. It teaches you something, but also like these dark moments after having accomplished something also teaches you something. So I found like a lot of lessons in there as well that I didn't back then while I was deep in that shit. I didn't. Like now, if I get deep into shit, like I know that it'll make sense later on. But at that year, when it was fresh, when everything was fresh, when I was deep knee into shit, I was like really, really depressed and like really ready to give up. But I didn't, because like I was, I knew that I was like, I had proven myself. I was out of the valley. Had I stayed in the valley, maybe I would have blown my mind. But not, because I was out of the valley and I was here in San Diego, and I knew that there was a lot of opportunities, and I knew there was a lot of people, and I knew that, I was in a good place to begin with, and that it has always been a dream of mine, right? Well, not always my whole life, but at least always for the past, 2 years, when, I got the idea in 2018. Um, but if I can pin into something that I learned from that, it's like acceptance, a bunch of acceptance, a bunch of adaptability, a bunch of faith, and a bunch of trusting, just trusting something else greater than myself, and find, like really tap into that energy of like hope, really tap into that energy of hope. Like, I don't know what, but I need to hope that it's gonna get better. I don't know how, but I need to hope that it's gonna get better. To let go of the idea of how I wanted things to happen, since it didn't happen that way and it was out of my control. So I had to accept that things are out of my control, and I had to let go of these expectations. It was a really tough pill to me to swallow, because I'm telling you, like, I expected something and I would get it, and now it's like I have to let go. And like letting go, it's an exercise of itself. It's really hard, especially back then when I didn't know how to let go. I mean, letting go is simple now. I just simply have to choose not to hold on to it. But back then, when I hold on to things so tightly and I didn't know how to let go, it was really, really hard. And I would cry a lot, I would pray a lot, and then I would sink myself into depression. I'm telling you, there's lessons in the hard aspects of life. Even though even if it has to take you some time to, like, comes into acceptance or give it a meaning, or like see the lesson in the hardship, there is always something that we can learn from the hard moments, and oftentimes they're better to shape you than the good moments. So in 2020, I had to pivot, I had to change plans, and they were not hiring in the market that I wanted. There was a lot of uncertainty, energy, and chaos back then. So I took a lot of no's, and I kept applying, and I kept my options up, and I ended up starting working at a Home Depot. In it paid the bills. It was not a pleasant experience by any means, but it paid the bills, and after things started getting better with the economy in 2021 and people realized it wasn't that much big of a deal to begin with, so things got better all along. I got a job in the market that I wanted, which is accounting, and obviously I was able to, eventually leave my position. I learned a lot from the Home Depot as well, and I met a lot of incredible people that are still with me, and I'm so happy because it's been like what? It's been like 2 years from that, 2 years and a half, and I still have those friendships, and like I really carry them in my heart because I know that right before the job, like a couple months before that, I was deep into some shit personally, and it was devastating for me. And then 2021, there was a lot of healing, a lot of breakthrough. I met even more people or more persons that helped me heal. I started this podcast in 2021, even if it was just, I think, 2 episodes or something like that. And then 2022, I even met more people and like started telling stuff, And then eventually, to this year, 2023, where things have been going great. I've manifested a lot of other stuff, I think by this point, my close friends already know that, I truly believe my shit, and like they now started to believe in me. So I'm committing more into the podcast because like every person has its own story, and I feel like there's power in everyone's story. So I only ask that you keep an open mind. At the end of the day, this was my experience in my life, and I do have those emotions deep engraved in my soul, and there are topics that are really sensitive because, again, there is no white and black, there is a scale of grays, and there are topics that I refuse to, like, engage debates with people. Like, it's non-debatable, you do your life and you live your life according to what you want and what you believe, and you let other people to live their lives the way they choose to live their lives. Right? I'm just sharing my experience because, like, I hope that you find value in what I'm telling you, or in my experience, or maybe you're going through something similar, and you just need somebody to, believe, somebody to like hold on to your humanity or hold on to this world. Because I know I was, and I know that I started like listening a lot of podcasts, and I left an honorable mention in my past, episodes, so go look at the description because those people, those women, helped me a lot. I know that this bit may not resonate with a lot of you, but this is just truth from my experience. Adulting, and especially when I move out of, the valley, out of my hometown, out of like my mom's house, it has been a challenge and it has been hard. And I know, like, at the beginning, I really, like, if I were to like explain it metaphorically, I really came across a lot of pebbles in the path, and I would fall out every single time. Like, I will fall, like I would stumble across a pebble, and then like I will fall dramatically, and that was just reality. And like the pebble is a challenge. Me falling is the outcome, and I know that I'm here. You're listening to this podcast, so you know that I didn't give up. So after every fall, I stand up and I pick myself back up, and then however I gather my pieces, I am here right now. Yeah, I'm so thankful that you listened to this podcast. I hope you learned something, and if you have any suggestions, just let me know in the comments. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for joining me this week. If you like this episode, give us a like, a share, or a review on Spotify, or wherever it is you're listening. Make sure to subscribe to the show in iTunes or Spotify so you'll never miss a show. If you'd simply like to tell a friend about the show, that will help us out too. If you share on Instagram, don't forget to tag me. I love to see your thoughts and insight. Have a wonderful week. Sending you energetic strength your way, no matter what you're going through. I believe in you, so fight back. Be sure to tune in for our next episode, and I'll see you in the next one.